Welcome everyone to Study Now channel. You are with Teacher Ivan once again, and we want to welcome you for joining us here. I encourage you to subscribe, like, and share to many people that they may learn about these projects. The background is our next study, having discussed many things before, so we now move to the background of the project. This background of the project, I'll begin with this kind of story. So we have this one girl here, maybe we call her Amina, and then this girl, they are asking her a question. Why is your compound always full of rubbish and flies? So when there is such a question of a problem, as you can see in the picture, this girl is feeling embarrassed. But then she's like, I don't know how to explain it properly. She doesn't know how to explain this issue of the question they're asking of her. So she comes in and give me some minute here, second. She comes down to a class where they're teaching her. Here she is. So she's here. And then the teacher is saying, before you talk about your own compound, first explain the bigger picture. Like you tell us what is happening in the world, in Uganda and in your what? District. Then the people will understand why your small problem matters. So this is really what Amina has to talk about. She has to give us what does the world see about that problem. What about Uganda? Is that problem a problem in Uganda? And then come to your district, which will take you to our local community, which is then affected. Wow, this is what we're going to look at in the issue concerning the background. We see how we can build a powerful background, but you're saying from here that for our problem to make sense, we have to really start from the world view, the Ugandan view, and then the district view, then finally the local view of our small community. Because you see, this makes it feel so big and really challenging that maybe solving part of it here in my community is going to be solving part of the problem in the whole world. So hence we go. Now, what all this means is that is exactly what the background of the study does. It helps the reader to understand the bigger picture before focusing on your specific project. You understand? So we get the bigger what? Picture before we move on to the small part your project is gonna point at. We see the big picture that the world is suffering with. And now we shall attack this background in a style which I'm calling the funnel approach. One which is called, we come from the broad part to the narrow part. So we are saying that this background should be written like a funnel. We start wide and we end in a narrow format. What does starting wide mean? Is what we just talked about, that we begin with the world view, the wide world, and then we end up with just your small community showing that problem. Widest is the global, the whole world perspective. How is your world seen by the international bodies, the UN, the WHO, the UNEP, the ILO? You see, different topics are gonna have different international bodies that are gonna be talking about their different issues in a global perspective. We need this when we're developing our background, and we shall also need developing our literature review. So we shall see how all that is gonna be done. Then this takes us to the national perspective. After me seeing what the whole world, basing on these serious bodies in the world, what do they talk about the issue? Then I move on, like, is this even a problem in Uganda? You see, when you talk about some problems, they end up just outside the Uganda. But now when you come to Uganda, is this still a problem generally in Uganda? And now this means you come and talk about the national reports like the NEMA report, the UGOS, the Ministry of Education, and other ministry reports that may be reporting the issue. I'm going to show you how to find them. Keep on. So the district perspective will now come in, where I narrow my issue because upon my district, my MPGO, Chiboga, all the Wakiso district. And then lastly, I'll be looking at the local perspective. Like, this is nearly my problem statement focus. So where I bring everything I've talked about here, I show them that finally, the big problem of the world, of the nation, of the district is also in our village, maybe in our school. So I want to focus on what is happening in my specific study, and then what you do next is linking it directly to your topic. So this is our simple structure. of whatever you're gonna see in our background. Now, what do we do in the global perspective? We shall introduce the problem, but not just usually. We shall introduce it as a worldwide issue. Of course, that means you're going to use some statistics, some reports that are from international organization, as I've shown you above there. And of course, with this kind of evidence, the report and our problem, we shall use these reports to explain why our problem is important globally. Let's use 1 to 2 sentences to show consequences. So there are 4 things I'm doing here. Number 1, I introduce this problem as a global or a worldwide issue. Then I get the data, I get the reference from the international organization, and then I use this to explain why the problem is important globally. And then I add on 1 to 2 sentences that show that if this is a problem, how dangerous it is, what are the effects, the consequences. You see, an example. So if I'm talking about waste management and waste issues, here we are, I would say, I want to introduce this and show that it's a very old problem. So I say waste management is one of the most pressing environmental and public health challenges facing the world today. So you see, this statement is showing that my biggest problem is actually for the world. And then I go on and get a reference from the international reports. The United Nations Environment Program, in short it's called the UNEP, a report which was written in 2023, estimates that over 2 billion people globally lack access to proper waste collection services. You see what the report is saying? The report is saying over 2 billion people globally lack access to proper waste collection systems. Then I add on poor disposal of solid waste. Now I'm talking about the consequences. I'm showing why this is a problem. So because these people are lacking access to proper waste collection, now there is poor disposal of solid material, which contributes significantly to environmental pollution, climate change through methane emission. You see, when people deposit decaying material, it releases methane, which is very dangerous to the environment. There is spread of diseases. Cholera can come in if wastes are deposited in the wrong way. In many developing regions, open dumping remains a dominant practice. You see, leading to contamination. Here we are giving the consequences, the effects of the problem, because the problem is the lack of the waste management good method. So these people, after disposing everything wrongly, now they are facing the consequences. And then I end by saying this global situation highlights the urgent need for better household waste management practices to protect both the environment and the human health. You can always pause and go through and see the 4 parts I've talked about there, and they are all reflected here. And this is our first paragraph showing how this problem is for the world. Are you ready? Let's move on. Don't forget to subscribe, to share, and send to many people. So, national perspective. Let's focus on Uganda now. And when you focus on Uganda, we shall focus on the Uganda data and reports, not the world anymore. And then we shall mention some government policies and maybe their limitation, like the government has tried to do this, but then it is failing. We shall show how the problem affects the country. We are doing a research. We have to take research, guys. We are doing a research. We show the effects. So we are focusing on Uganda. We get that. So we shall introduce this problem to be a Ugandan problem, and then we shall bring in the national data and reports, and then we shall mention some government policies. The government is trying to do this, but then it is failing out. There are limitations. So again, we shall show how this problem is, just as the previous in the global, we show how dangerous the issue is. Looking at this other one, we introduce the problem here and we say in Uganda, waste management remains a critical issue despite the existing policies. So you observe here, we are showing that this waste management is a big Ugandan problem, and that's very important in this case. So we bring in the national report of the NEMA, National Environment Management Authority, 2023, which reports that many urban and rural households still rely on open dumping and burning of waste due to due to limited collection services. The rapid population growth. So here I've shown what the report is saying. You see, I quote the report and I show you what it says. And this is not a lie. We have to get these reports. We shall see how. Then I add on what is the effect. So because there is no clear waste management policies, the rapid population growth and the urbanization. Of course, when there is rapid population and there is urbanization, we are increasing the amount of waste. So these two things that increase waste have significantly increased the volume of household waste across the country. Although the government, now these are the policies, although the government has introduced strategies to improve sanitation. You see how even I can I can like talk about the policy, which even I don't know, I can talk about them here. Like the government has introduced strategies to improve sanitation. I've not talked about a specific one, but if you know one, please talk about it. I think the government talked about having the toilet 10 meters away from the main home. That is a place that can really talk about the strategies the government has talked about. And there are times when they come to your home and then they check, do you have a toilet? Checking really if you are safe there. Then there is government failing in the implementation. Already the implementation has been slow in many areas. All these are failures. The government has tried something, but they are what? They are failures. Get this kind of key in every essay you're going to write. So this has resulted in widespread environmental degradation and increased cases of sanitation-related diseases. What have I shown? I have introduced the problem here as a Ugandan problem. I have brought a national report and showed what it was saying on the issue. I have brought the effect, and then I've shown what the government has done, but limitations have also been clear, and then I've shown what has resulted into this kind of dumping. You can observe those are the things we talked about here. We talked about show that the problem is for Uganda, use the national data and show what it says, talk about what government is doing and the limitation to what it is doing, and then show how the problem affects the country. Just focus on those things and write them the way they are said there. We have this district perspective. Of course, now we are narrowing it down to our specific district. We talk about the name of the district, compare with other districts if possible. If not, don't disturb yourself, leave it alone. Mention local challenges if they are there. Here we go. In Wakiso district, the situation is even more pressing. Why? Because Wakiso is close. This word means close to Kampala and has a high population density. So this guy is showing you that it is really a problem in Wakiso. There are many people and it's close to Kampala where many things can be bought and then deposited. Even in Kampala, I think Kampala is now depositing many things in Wakiso as the landfills. So the district has experienced rapid urbanization. We're talking about Wakiso. This man is trying to show us the causes of the problem. There is rapid urbanization, and this is leading to increased waste generation. Many communities in Wakiso lack organized waste collection systems, forcing residents to dispose rubbish within their compounds, and this has contributed to poor sanitation standards compared to the districts with better waste management infrastructure. This talks about these things. We have shown the district. We have shown that other districts that might have better waste infrastructure are better, but we have shown that it is really a challenge in Wakiso, and I think we have also shown why it is a challenge. We've shown that there is an effect that Wakiso is having a large population. It is near Kampala, and then the rubbish is really produced in large amounts, and yet there are no proper waste management infrastructure. You will choose this and then see how it can fit in your project. Finally, we shall link it to our study, and we shall say we are going to talk about our village, maybe our school, and then describe what we have observed. This is nearly linked to our topic and variables, and is nearly, we're going to state inside here the purpose of our study. The purpose is that reason why you're doing this whole study. So in Nanziga village, this is now the final paragraph. Wakiso district. The majority of households, this is so close to your problem statement. So the majority of households dispose rubbish by throwing it haphazardly within their compounds or leaving it in open heaps for several days. This practice has created persistent bad smell and high presence of flies around homes, especially during the rainy season. So what is happening here? We are showing the village, our locality, and the district. We are showing what is happening. People are really throwing rubbish. What is happening is this. We are showing what it has caused, the effect of whatever they have done. There is a persistent bad smell. There is high presence of flies around homes. There's this bad smell in the rainy season. There is poor sanitation and many other things. So this poor sanitation condition affect the health and comfort of families living in the village. This pushes us now to the study. This study, now this is the focus, this is the use, this is the purpose of our study. What is my study all about? This is study therefore seeks to investigate rubbish disposal practices and sanitation conditions in, I think I have to first arrange something here. Give me a small minute. We said we shall always leave this away. In selected households. In selected households in Nanziga village, in order to propose practical and affordable solutions for improving cleanliness and community health. So all along, our topic was this: rubbish disposal practices and sanitation. Oh, let me get this point. So it was this. Where are you? Rubbish disposal practices and sanitation condition in selected households in Nanziga village. So this has been our topic all along. So you can see how I can change it, and this is what I'm going to investigate about. And then I'm saying, why am I investigating about it? In order to propose practical and affordable solutions for improving cleanliness and the community health. So this part shows the purpose. Why is my study going to be important? After seeing the problem in the community. So we move on. Final tips to reach one full page. Before I come to these ones, I want to show you how can I get these references. Now, I'm going to emphasize something which is not common for my emphasis. I'm going to emphasize working with an AI tool, and that may be ChatGPT, which is very common with many of you. I was trying out something here, so I left it in here. I gave it a prompt. I don't know if you can see it, but if not, I want to read it for us. So let me get something here very close, and I make it big enough for us to see, for all of us to see. This is the command I gave ChatGPT. I told it that it was generating. Not so organized. So what I want is the first paragraph where I need the world views on my problem. So I tell this guy, it's organized, but I think I can organize it anytime. So I'm looking for the world organization Z views. So I tell it to get me by looking at the global, you see that, looking at the global organization views. I can even add here and I say reports, and then I say research papers. So what am I needing? I need references to read for this topic. Which topic? So my topic in this case, I used this. This is the topic I used. You may not copy mine. Learning science and listening to educational science music. I want to connect these two things. Is it possible? What is the connection between learning of science and listening to educational science music? That's what my topic is on. And then I'm looking at a case study of senior 1 students in selected schools in Mayawakiso district. So I affirm my AI, please, I want you to consider the World Organization Z views, you see, and then prepare for me a short literature review with clear global organization references, not so old. So this kind of prompt is causing my AI to know what really I want. I want it to focus on the world reports and talk about this case, and it is giving me a better way to write my references. So I get this kind of stuff. If I get it here, of course you will be putting there your topic, and if I come and I paste it, or I put it in my AI here, and then I send to the ChatGPT, it can easily do what I need it to do. So it will be loading there, but let me use just what I had here. So when I told you to talk about this topic of learning science and listening to educational science music, I really don't know which body in the world works on such issues, but now it tells me that global, I don't know if you can see this, I don't know if you can see this on your phone, but here it is. I just want to read this here. I don't want to copy. We are not copying, we are reading. We are simply doing what? Reading. Let me just copy what they wrote here so that people can see it in large font. Some people might not be able to see it. So here it is. Let me read it for us. It is here. Oh, it is here. Little bit wait. This video is gonna be long, I think. Forgive me, I normally want short videos, but it's getting longer. So here we move. I'm reading global organizations such as UNESCO. You see now it's giving you even which kind of organization is dealing with these things. So you can find the full form of UNESCO from any place that you want to find it. UNICEF and OECD, all these organizations emphasize that creative and engaging teaching approaches improve students' concentration, motivation, and academic performance in science. So according to the OECD, is now quoting the paper, student engagement and motivation are essential for successful learning because motivated learners retain knowledge better and perform more effectively in school activities. So if I check my GTP, it will give me that this report of OECD, which has talked about because my title was talking about learning science and listening to educational music. But now our review here is not so direct, but it is showing us that there are those engaging methods. There are those engaging methods that they are so engaging that they can help learners to learn science. And an example of the engaging methods is this. So I even have this other one. I think I'm sure that this AI can help me get these references very fast without me struggling a lot, because reading through all the papers is what time we don't have. But we're not just copying, we are studying what it is saying, and then we choose what we want. Another part of the OECD report is here. The OECD report further explains that arts and music education can positively influence learners' performance in non-art science. When they say non-arts, mean they're saying what? Science and mathematics. So this person, clearly in the paper, it says music-based learning promotes creativity. Even it is here that music education can positively influence. You see, they're really showing me how they're talking about music clearly, and that's what I want to get and fix in my global view. I want to get this part where the report clearly talks about the kind of that music is really supporting the non-arts non-art subject to be studied. So I get that portion and I put it in my work. Hope you understand that. You can always get questions and post them in the group, in the chat, and then we see what to do with them. So when I come back here, where am I coming? Let me just come to this. Where are you? So you can see my problem was learning science and listening to educational science music, and you should have given me something to talk about it very well. Another thing, if I want to get the references based on Uganda national bodies, I still have nearly the same prompt. It It is just changing a little bit. It is just changing a little bit. Let me just get it here. Let me get it here. So this is my prompt that I'm going to use to get the Ugandan reports, because I'm certain, I'm not so sure, but I think it is the NCBC and maybe UNEB that's going to talk about these education issues. So we can use, maybe the Ministry of Education is going to come up with a report about music and learning, but I'm not so certain. So I'm going to use this GTP because it is good at finding for me all that information. But I think I'd forgotten one thing. When we are on GTP here, I asked the AI to give me the references. You see here are the references. Here are they. But I have picked just a sentence. So I come here, this blue sentence is what I've picked. And when I check here, it is having a title, Art for Art's Sake. And it was written in 2013. I need to note that down because it is going to be part of my references when I'm ending my whole project. So you note it down. The reference, the source, it is also here. It is here. They even give you a link that you can tap and go and read it yourself. That is why I need this kind of direction. If you want to read this paper very well, tap the link, go and read the what? The paper. They give it to you clearly here. But for me, I can just copy this. I can just copy this whole thing. That's the name of the report, and I need it. So you have somewhere you're writing these references. So I put mine here, and I say it is an OECD report of 2013, and tells the title Art for Art's Sake, and then it ends with this other part which says the impact of arts education, and then it ends with that statement which says OECD Arts Education what? Report. I'm following. So I told this AI to give me the what? The reference, and there it is. Because these references are in the last section of my report, my extended essay. So I move on. Now I want to see which Ugandan body is talking what about my topic. I still tell it that please use the Ugandan National Organization reports or papers and get me, of course, by using I'm so strict, I'm so serious that I want it to not to lose focus. So I tell it, give me references to read for this topic. Which topic? The learning, science, and listening to science music, and it is a case study of Maya Wakiso district. And I still remind it, please focus. Make sure you're using Ugandan national reports and papers. Give me a short literature review with clear Ugandan national organization what? References. But I don't need those that are so old, not so old. Because when you use the old papers that were research that was done many years ago, you may find that they have already found something new which is not really affecting, and they have already demolished the other kind of old research. So you move now. When I gave GTP that kind of work, it brought back results. It brought back what? Results. So we can now come and check on the results. Let me just copy this for us, and I put it where you can all see it in a bigger font. So I go here. Sorry for the length of the video, but background was taking time to understand. According to the national, now this is what this AI has given me. I want to read and see if it makes sense. According to the National Curriculum Development Center, the Uganda's new lower secondary curriculum emphasizes learner-centered and competence-based teaching methods that promote creativity. Promote creativity, participation, communication, and practical learning among what? Learners. I think as learners are singing, they're really participating, they are communicating, they are, at times even these songs are created by learners, that there is creativity and there is practical learning. So the curriculum encourages teachers to use innovative methods, and I think one of the innovative methods is this of using music to teach. That increase learner engagement and increase understanding of science what? Subjects. If I go back to my AI, I am observing that this kind of statement, let me bring it again to you. let me bring this. They said here, according to the national. So this is already another way you can make your reference. A paper was written by NCDC, and then information is saying according to the National Curriculum Development. Go to NCDC. You see, I'm quoting a national body talking about my issue. So this national body said these things you read here. I may just get just this part and I put it in my Ugandan view of my problem. I'm showing you how to get these different papers. Maybe you can try using other AIs, but for me, I've used ChatGPT. It is free and simple to use. So we are here and we are telling. So this is the link to the paper. You can click the link and go to. I think this is the paper. I think I had. Oh, this is the OECD. Like when I clicked on the link, it can take me to where this paper is. The paper is here. I can go through and I read, and I understood what they found out if I want. But time is a key factor. But now this is the NCDC report. I also clicked its link. It is here. The NCDC report is called Outdated A-Level Curriculum Review Process on to make it learner-centered and competence based. It was written in 2020 because this year is very important when you're writing the references. You have also to note it down. So this is the report that NCDC published, and UBC is talking about it. So I really found this link from ChatGPT, so it can really help you find these documents that can link with your topic very fast. You study them. You don't just copy, as you've observed. We don't just copy. We don't use AI and just copy it. It is giving us quick access to the information, and then we study it carefully to make sure that we get out the necessary information. Are we there? Yes. So whatever you've learned that this paper was talking about, it is something you can find when you study that paper. Now let's move on. So I've shown you how you can quote, and I've told you, make sure you write down the references. You need them. You're going to write them, because if you say according to National Curriculum Development Center, and I think we have to add this year, 2020 what? 2022, because that's when this paper was written. So the year is very important if you're going to talk about, because there are many reports NCDC has written, but even let me add on this September. I think even I can add on more details, because when I checked here in the document, it showed me that this kind of paper was written on which date? On the 7th. So if you really want to add on that, you can really go on and add that. So I'm seeing something here. Oh God. Wait a little bit. Oh, so our time is really getting longer. I'm so sorry for making a long video. I never expected to make one like this. Yes. Sorry for the silence. I was simply reading through just to check sure that we are reading the right content, and that is the report which NCDC has provided. So let's move on. So I've shown us, you can always go back and rehear the video to be sure that you've understood how to check for these different references and how to use them in making your background. So let me just show you some examples here. If I have this as my background, if the project topic was road condition and accidents, of course there are two variables here. It is the road condition and the accidents, and then they're showing us the scope. They're moving along Masaka Kampala Highway. That is the location. And they're not talking about every road, but just Masaka Kampala Highway. And then they're saying a case study of the road section from Maya 14 town to Katende town, BG district. That is the topic of this person. And then this person has discovered that there are some potholes and some road backs are destroyed with depressions in the roads due to the heavy trucks. That is the problem of the person. Not the problem statement, just the problem that he observed. I want us to develop a background, the world view. World view. What does the world say about all this? We are saying here that I think, allow me use this kind of method.
Road traffic accidents remain one of the leading causes of death and injury globally. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, 2023, approximately 1.3 million people die each year from road traffic crashes, with millions more sustaining serious injuries. Poor road conditions, including potholes, damaged road banks, and depressions, are major contributing factors to these accidents, especially in developing countries where road maintenance is often inadequate.
So they have read for us the first issue, and you're seeing here, this person has quoted the World Health Organization. He has introduced that road traffic accidents, they are global. You see, they are global. And then he's showing us what the report is saying. The report is saying that 1.3 million people die each year on the road accidents. And this person is still talking about that poor road conditions, including the potholes, the damaged road banks, the depressions are really the major factors of these accidents, even in the whole world. So he still says that this is so common in developing countries, based on the research. Then this person comes in to talk about the same issue in Uganda. The first part was the world, now we are in Uganda. He has to read for us. I think he has forgotten to read for us. Let me just read for us before it is so late. So in Uganda, road safety continues to be a serious national concern. The Uganda National Roads Authority, you see now we're talking about the UNRA. It is the authority which is so common about roads. And then you're also adding in the Uganda Police, the Police Annual Crime Report 2023. I got all these kind of reports with the ChatGPT, so you can always use the same strategy. You see, this person can ably get that. The other words, you're the one to organize your words, your English, and then write. You've been writing essays since you began senior 5. So in Impiji District, Masaka Highway, now this is the district view. Masaka Highway is one of the busiest roads, serving as the major transport route connecting the capital city to western Uganda and other parts of the world, other countries. Now, this highway experiences a high traffic volume, including the heavy cargo trucks. However, several sections of this road have deteriorated over time, resulting into numerous potholes, collapsed road banks, surface depression caused by continuous pressure of heavy. This is all part of what you're observing, and you're showing how the problem is, what causes the problem, and then you show us the dangers. These poor road conditions have contributed to the frequency accidents, vehicle damages, and loss of lives in the district. Then you can also add on, the government has tried, maybe because when I passed via the road, I see the government has tried to cover up the potholes, but still these potholes are forming again, because you say, talk about what the government has tried and failed. Still it has failed, but the government has tried to do something. Then we move on to this last part where you talk about your specific area. We are saying that in the specific road section, that is from Maya 14, not the whole district, but just Maya 14 town to Katende town in Impiji district, the situation is particularly worrying because now the road has visible potholes, destroyed road banks, and then depression caused by the heavy trucks. These defects force drivers to swerve dangerously. Is that swerve? Now the pronunciation is the problem. To reduce speed unpredictably. You just see the hole there, so you have to reduce the speed, and then the guy behind can knock you, and sometimes lose control. You see all these words are coming from you observing what causes the problem. We are saying that these potholes, so how bad are the potholes? You show us how bad they are, and these things are coming from your problem statement normally. So local residents and frequent users of this road have reported increased accidents, injuries, fear while traveling along the road. You see, even crossing the road, people fear. So this now will show us the focus of your study. This study that are for 6 to investigate road conditions and accidents along Masaka Kampala Highway, with a focus on the section from Maya 14 to Katende town. Then you can add on to maybe find practical solutions to solve that issue. I may just stop there. Wow. This was an example of a full background, how it can happen and how you can think through it. You can always go back in the video and you check through all these things. And that's it for now. Subscribe, like, and share. We are going to look at further discussions the other day. I'm really going to post. Thank you so much for listening to me. You have done so very well. It has been wonderful having you here.